All right, welcome to Vibe Osmosis. How are you?
Good. Sorry, I just had to switch over to my headphones. Can you hear me okay?
That will be all right. I can hear you perfect.
Appreciate it.
Um, all right, so break into it. Introduce yourself, your music, and what you do.
Okay. Hello, my name is Genki Girl. I'm a producer from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I
Yeah,
just like
I
being
love
pretty and
Charlotte.
making tunes.
And your astrological sign.
I'm a Cancer and I'm a Cancer and a Capricorn moon.
Do you feel the cancer? What they say about cancer?
That were crying babies.
Maybe so. I don't know.
I do cry a lot, so I'm a very emotional person. So I'd say it's true.
And how long have you been making music?
I've been making music since 2012, and then I used to rap and produce, and then recently, as of 2020, I just kind of took to more on the producing side and just kind of making more faster music.
And just to kind of clarify, you do you use pronouns or how do you identify?
So I use she/her pronouns, and you can just call me Genki.
I know. What's your favorite music project? I've listened to your music and I'm a big fan.
Music project that of mine. I think I've only got two out right now, but I think my favorite one is definitely my self-titled, my first one that I put out. It was a kind of an important moment in both my music and like my transition of like realizing, that I was trans. It was just kind of and the fact that I dropped it on New Year's is just kind of like it felt like a rebirth and like felt like I started new. It almost was like felt like a birthday almost. Like I introduced the world to who I really felt like I was, and then the stuff that I feel very passionately about making.
And what's your favorite color?
My favorite color, I'd have to say cobalt blue.
What about what about blue? Cobalt blue resonates with you. Why choose that color?
Uh, it, Cobalt blue, it kind of resonates with me because there's a gentleman by the name of Manasama. He used to be a member of a visual K band by the name of Malice Miser, and he started a Lolita clothing brand named Mwameme Motie. And a lot of the clothing is a lot of black, but there's a lot of this very specific shade of blue, which is like a cobalt blue. And I feel like I've looked up to him because he dresses like a very pretty lady, and I've looked up to him since I started wanting to be a woman, and I just kind of resonate with that.
All right, and with your music, what about it that like you think like you are you creating a message? Like like what about it that like attracts you to making music? Like what brought you to music?
I think what brought me to music was just my friends. Like I had a lot of friends that made music, and I just thought it was really fun that that you could make something and share it with them, and then they'd think it was cool, and then you would bounce ideas. And it was just like the community part of it was really fun, and feeling like you're a part of something makes something mean so much more to you. But I just think it's really fun. I think it's a good passion to have, and put good messages if you want to, or it could be the silliest thing you've ever come up with. It just doesn't matter. It's all subjective.
Are you a fan of the Charlotte Bobcats or what they used to be? I know they're like the Wasp now, or the Hornets, maybe Horny Hornets.
So I'd say I'm a horny hornet. I never. As a kid, I went to Bobcats games, but I definitely preferred the Hornets because they a lot of the things around North Carolina are based around like bees and hornets, and like
It's
there's like
true.
a I remember there was like a dirt bike track named the Hornets Nest, and that just bees in North Carolina just always resonate with me.
I grew up. My dad was like a NBA little like NBA agent, like kind of like coached and. He still coaches and like kind of just like was behind the scenes of basketball stuff, and
Hell yeah!
yeah, and like he was incorporated with some of the people from the Charlotte Bobcats at the time, and so I kind of grew up going to their games, and
Oh,
I totally remember being like in high school or junior high, and taking my partner at the time to like the game. And we're just like, we're gonna just try and meet up at the say we're gonna go to the concession stands and meet up at the bathroom and try to have sex in here, and literally, have sex at the NBA game as like junior high schoolers, and then like also like have people come walking in, and I'm thinking like in today's world, if somebody was literally having sex in the bathroom, I probably would have just walked out and said let them have their moment. But like other
yeah.
people were like, oh, they're fucking. I'm gonna sit down and still have a shit and piss and like work
I'm
on
gonna
my
listen in real
music.
quick.
Yeah, like
I'm
they
gonna see how this plays out.
yeah, like I guess
No,
I'm
I
just
mean,
like
shit.
I'm here. Like maybe should I and I don't know. It's one of those moments for me where I'm like, yeah, anything can happen in Charlotte. It's one of the dreamiest places I've ever been to.
Oh yeah. And if that happened in this day and age, like someone would have pulled out your phone and you would have been on like Twitter and TikTok like almost instantly.
That's true. At that time, the social media stuff wasn't too big for us for sure, and it's one of those fondest memories. I was gonna get into it. A favorite memory that you have, a random memory maybe too.
A favorite memory. I'm gonna go with the time that me and my partner went to the beach together, and my family like had rented out a condo, and I think we spent like 4 or 5 days out there, and we had like an ocean view, and it was just like everything about that moment was just so perfect, and it just I replay that in my head a lot, and just imagine like we would both just sit out like on the balcony, like on the table. We'd be smoking our vapes because they wouldn't let us like smoke inside the condo, and we would just listen to the ocean. But that's probably my fondest memory.
And do you think that the CIA is actually recording everything and keeping tabs on everybody, like the rumors may have it?
I mean, shit, it wouldn't at this point. Nothing would surprise me. Like,
I'm always like, I'm gonna keep my Mac on the screen where it just shows me pretty colors and pictures all day, and if they just happen to see me walk around naked, then like I guess I'm lucky. Like the CIA is just getting free peep shows all day. Like what's going on? Is like what's really happening? Are the people just like is it AI watching my computer 24/7, and if something interesting happens, or like yeah, we'll actually watch that. You
or
know.
or is it just whenever specifically I'm naked and talking about nefarious deeds?
Yeah. Like, oh, he's doing cocaine and he's got people over. He must be in trouble. Somebody arrest Jeffrey tonight. I
Oh
kind of
God.
wonder, like, where they, can I feel like it's in one of the Transformers movies where he's like, I deleted all of like the stuff on my computer where he's like, I was illegally downloading music and I'm trying to delete it real quick because like the government's coming, and do you ever like still kind of illegally download music where you're like, no shame in that game?
Uh, you know, uh, since we're on recording, no, I would never illegally download anything ever. As a matter of fact, we should lock up people that do that. As a matter of fact,
We probably should.
yeah.
Crucify him and maybe lynch him with the entire public to see like he was a music downloader. Get him.
how dare you download illegally aimandbreak.rar?
This is what started the new invisible war happening right now, where we have guys in trench coats like opening up their jackets like, "You want a DVD? Do you need a CD?"
Can you imagine a war starting over like a bunch of like hyperpop producers stealing FL Studio? Like,
They,
can you
they
imagine?
they're like, "You better buy my NFT, you son of a bitch."
Jesus.
It would be the worst trash game in our history. And I want to get into your favorite instrument. So, your what did you start with, and what's your baby?
Okay, so I was a big band kid growing up. So my first instrument that I ever picked up was the trumpet. But I think my favorite that I picked up was probably guitar. I think that would be most people's favorite. But through my journey of music and sound, I've I've worn a lot of hats. I'm kind of a jack of all trades, but a master of none. Except for trumpet. Trumpet's the only thing I'm like really good at, but I don't really use it much anymore, if I'm being honest.
And the treble clef of trumpet,
Hmm.
it's one of those things where it's if it's meant for you, you really tap into kind of doing the groove and finding like what tuning you are to hitting those kind of notes. And I feel like if you're
Funny
not,
enough.
yeah, and I
Oh,
feel
sorry. Go ahead.
no, I feel like if you're in the bass clef, or like if you're one of those people that are like trombone, or specifically trying to work on bass stuff, like if it's not in your groove, you're not necessarily knowing if those bass notes and stuff was for you.
And actually, funny enough, I mean, with trumpet, it actually even comes down to like how crooked your teeth are to how high your range is. Like there are some professional like trumpet players that have ground their teeth down so that they could push more air through so they could hit those higher ranges. And I don't have that kind of dedication, so I never never did that, and I don't have super crooked teeth, so.
To me, I think whenever I was in high school, and like I've always had like this big jaw kind of complex, and I always think like my teacher was like, okay, Jeffrey, you might be good at like a few instruments, and this is what I'm gonna put you with first. I'm gonna hear what your tuning is, see if you hit the circle of the fifths, and see like how you read your music. Okay, okay,
Mm,
I feel that. I feel that. Now we're gonna move you on to the next thing and see like what fits for you.
mm.
And recording your own music, were you kind of like, am I better at like making the beat, or am I better at working on the melody, or am I better at like doing the producing side, or like the melodies where I'm singing and stuff? Like what kind of like showed you like this is like the avenue for me.
I think so. Whenever I was like much younger, um, I think the thing that got me into producing music is like, oh my God, I don't have to like be able to play these notes. I can just like key them in and it plays it for me. This is great. So, in that sense, it's like quote unquote cheating, but I think it was just the ease of access of making a nice tune. But as time went on, I kind of leaned more towards like sampling. I got really big into sampling. In like 2012, I was really, really big into like Lil Ugly Mane and like Madlib and like MF Doom, like all that shit. And just I was just like, whoa, you can just take something and transform it into something completely different, and it becomes your own entity of something that existed. And that something with that like resonated. I think that's what I really appreciate about like drum and bass, because a lot of these breaks are coming from like really iconic songs and moments in like music history, and we're just repurposing them and making new grooves and finding new ways to use it.
That's definitely a really solid point. And I
Hmm.
think and I think even like whenever you're creating music and you're trying to find like what you like about it, and then maybe like what you're trying to take away from it too. The messages and themes that relate for, like relate for that track, or relate to like that kind of like cohesive vibe. Like when did it kind of come to you of what you want your image, and like what you want your sound and stuff to be?
So as far as like my sound, the sound part of it, I mean, I feel like or at least I've been told. I don't really pay attention to it, but I've been told that I do have a certain sound. I couldn't tell you what it is, but if people say that they could pick my music out of a handful of songs if they heard it. Um, but for the sound, I mean, I just kind of nowadays I just go with like sounds that are like pleasing to me, like that interest me. Like I love a good melody. I love a good key change. I love anything like symphonic. I love just if anything catches my attention about it, like I love it, and that's what I try to do in my music. Especially anything like cute. Like I love cute sounding things. Like I love anything that someone would hear it and be like, a woman made that, and then just like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Not that music is even gendered or anything,
No,
but
there's definitely
um,
something I feel like I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy, and like in Final
mm,
Fantasy and all of their soundtracks, they have really intricate piano parts, and like as you're playing along with the games, you're getting kind of like enthralled with like this is the different kind of sounds and soundscapes that they use
hmm
for the soundtrack, and this is the kind of like melody that they put on for this specific world or this theme. They give character like, oh, Ariel's theme, and this is like how it sounds whenever you're like in their vicinity and that kind of stuff. And there's some aesthetics with this music that you can kind of see, kind of like in my way it's like pooling. Oh, I like this part of jungle music, and I like this part of like the D&B sound, or like I like what like the UK electro aspect of like using these kind of like sounds and stuff. And that's my own
hmm
perspective. Like I wondered if that was kind of like a subconscious thing, or if you were kind of looking to see like what kind of music would maybe fit for you, and trying to find out like what kind of music you do like making.
Well, I mean, I first got into like drum and bass, probably like in 2018, and I was into like a little bit of like the jungle stuff, a little bit of like the UK two-step stuff. But in like recent years, I think my thing is just finding more extreme music. Just taking simple concepts, even like as simple as like a tempo, like taking drum and bass and then putting it to like 200, 250, 300 BPM, and just letting it go wild. And then recently I found myself listening to like a lot of like hardcore, a lot of like gabber, a lot of happy hardcore, and just like a lot of just really more extreme ends of sound, and just I keep looking for that new serotonin boost in my brain. So my process usually always starts melody first. I always look for something that's really pretty, or something that like interests me in some sort of way. Despite whatever I might be looking for, I try to let it find me as opposed to seeking it out. Because sometimes in making music, you'll be like, I want it to sound like blank, and then you'll be looking for blank and you won't find blank. So I tend to just let whatever sound I'm going for find me, and then after that I'll like build upon that, and then once everything is kind of done together, I'll sort of, then I start doing the beat part of it, and then making it groove, making it sound right, just and then then after that it just kind of comes all together. Usually after that I'll add like bass and make a bass line, make let it transform, wherever it might go, whether it be silly, fun, or serious, wherever it goes, I'm along for the ride. I'm using a DAW. I use FL Studio. It's kind of been my go-to since like 2012. So I've been using that for quite some time. Um, I, I think the only real gear I have is just my monitors and like a preamp, and that's just kind of it. It's just basic bedroom recording stuff. No, I've got a MIDI controller. It's a it's an Axom Air 32 Mini, and other than that, I mean that's just kind of my gear. It's kind of bare bones, no analog gear. It's kind of expensive, but I find that VSTs and stuff can give you enough warmth and enough sounds to get by with what you need. It depends. Sometimes I'll use a preset if it feels right in the song. But I mean, uh, you definitely always want to transform it in some way, shape, or form to kind of make it unique to you, some way, shape, or form. But I'm not opposed to using presets because it's not impossible someone else could use the preset. But if it works for your song, it works for your song. But if there's something you can do to it.
uh that like I was talking to Panda Bear whenever they played after their show, and I got to kind of ask a few questions. Um,
Mhm.
Panda Bear's reply was like, "Yeah, I'll use Ableton, and I'll just kind of run through like their synth sounds, their presets, and like sometimes like the very first preset that I click on will be the one that I just like start recording with, start going for, and it's one of those things that like as that artist kept with those other projects, and I feel like it also really helps for the other artists and listeners to kind of like take in that technology and use it to kind of the right kind of tools or ways, and also making it accessible or like known, or whenever you kind of give it to the listener, you're like wondering, oh, I wonder if I could ever build that sound. And once you kind of come across like a sound that's similar,
Mhm.
creating something that's like more fit for you. And
Yeah.
like in the big way, it's like lighting the torch. And it's one of those big things too, I think, that's like with rock music and punk rock music, post progressiveness, that kind of scene. It's like incorporating everything that has kind of been out there from that scene. Especially
Mhm.
if you're really really in tune with going out to live shows all the time, you kind of get the kind of vibe for the bands that come through, of like what they're providing for their sets. And
Yeah.
it's always definitely interesting to see, like the different kind of messages and that kind of stuff that they incorporate. And I wondered, in your music, is it kind of like I'm going with this idea, or am I trying to build off like a vibe, or you're just kind of going into it and seeing like what you can build up?
Um, I think I think I have songs that are kind of geared towards a message almost, but I think most of all I just make sure that whatever I put out is true to me and true to how I feel like as a person. Um, there's a lot of people in this genre that you know make similar styles of music that are queer and like trans, LGBTQ plus. There's a lot of people that do that have felt the same sort of like chaos and like confusion and like rage and sadness and you know I just kind of whatever true feelings I have to whatever it is I'm doing. Whatever it is, I just make it just true and authentic to me.
And I want to also bring up, no, those are some really solid points, but I want to bring up the favorite kind of movies that like inspire you, influence you, what you've seen, if you've seen anything good recently, even if they're shows. Kind of throw out the new spiel. You catch up on the new. I think this is going to be the final season of RuPaul. Are you up to date?
I'm not up to date. I None of the streaming services that I have it. Um, they are very picky. The last one that I watched was I think it was All Stars 2 was the last one I watched. But yeah, I haven't watched that in a minute, but I do try to keep up with it. Let's see, movies. Let's see. Well, I'm watching this Korean dating show on Netflix called Singles Inferno, and it's a pretty interesting, singles on a desert island
I'm a big
type
fan. I'm a
situation.
really big fan of the dating shows, like all of the
Yeah.
Love Is Blind and like the Sexy Beast and the
hmm
Love Island stuff. But this one I will have to give a dig. And I'm like really into what they've been putting out lately.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it's the stuff plays out like a fucking drama. You would think it was, you would think it was scripted the way the stuff plays out, but it's so interesting to watch people interact and watch people fall in love. It's kind of sweet. I like it. hmm Yeah. Or,
I can't believe there was kind of like the boldness in some of these real life people on like their non-regard on the social anxiety aspect and more of like which cock is bigger in so many ways.
yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah, that's what I guess keeps me coming back because I'm like it's really a piss fight right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I will find myself like viscerally screaming at the screen, just like, "Yo, love her, please, like,
That's true too.
please."
There's so many of these ignorant men that just can't see when the lady is truly like giving them selves completely. I guess I don't know. Love hurts, as they say.
It does, it does.
And I want to bring up like, have you recorded in the studio? Are you interested in recording in the studio for a project?
Like renting a studio?
Yeah, like or yeah. Have you done anything like that?
In the past I have, but I mean, my whole goal whenever I started, making music was to not necessarily need like a space to do it, just like wherever I'm at, I can, wherever I'm living, I can record. So, I've kind of got all my essentials here. I'm not against going to a studio, and I'm not against, being in a big studio, but I love the comfort of, my home. I love, being able to wear whatever I want and look however I want without, worrying about another person, looking at me funny. So,
That's very true, and to bring up the music scene in Charlotte. I know a few
Hmm.
people that make music in the North Carolina area, South Carolina
Yeah.
areas too. I actually have a cousin that lives in the Carolinas. And so like your own experience in the scene, like
Yeah.
what have you seen like the progressions of, and like what do you look forward to, and like what like places do you feel like good going to?
So so right now, so okay, I'll start like back in the day. So I used to go to like a lot of like hardcore shows and stuff, and that was always a good time. There used to be a place that was like an abandoned like movie theater, and the bands would play at the bottom of the movie theater, and people could sit up there, and there was plenty of room to like mosh and do all that. So that was always a really good time. But that was like way back in the day. And after that, then I start. That's whenever I like started rapping. Like after that ended, and then I kind of got into the rap scene a little bit. The rap scene was always popping. There's always somebody that's like doing well. A few that I remember was Elevator J. Elevator J has always been a North Carolina legend. Um, then NASCAR Allo, he popped up. Um, but I mean, it's been growing a lot. I don't really pay too much attention to the rap scene anymore in Charlotte. But the EDM scene is it's booming. I've got a friend. His name is Moose. He's very big in the scene in Charlotte, and he's been very inclusive with everything that I'm doing, incorporating it into his parties and stuff like that. But what I hope to see in the future is I really want to start DJing and kind of introduce the Charlotte scene to like more drum and bass and like more like gabber and like hard style and all style. Just get those type of sounds played in the club. That's really what I want because I just imagine what I want to hear, and my way of thinking is like if I feel this way, there's got to be at least another person that feels that way. So I
Without a
kind of want
doubt,
to bring that.
without a doubt, like there's so many times where some venues now that have closed due to COVID, but
Hmm.
playing shows where you can kind of see the people that appreciate you still kind of doing your own thing or enjoying creating like different kind of music, even though at that place maybe have on like a typical regular night have music that is like
Hmm.
far from what you would maybe choose.
I think that's what would keep it interesting. I mean, sure, some people it might not be their cup of tea, but there's a even bigger percentage of people that might be like, "Whoa, I've never been introduced to this style of music," and it might be something that they get into, and like, and then you build up a fan base from it or something. But I will also say too, the online shows have been really fun. Like I love Twitch shows, Mixcloud, what you're doing right now, like the DJs on
Appreciate it.
there. I think all of that is super fun. It's super accessible, and it allows anybody to just access it just from their phone. And I think that's the greatest thing.
That's definitely one of those things too, where I'm like with like back in the day growing up, we would see like it's based off of what kind of music video you had, and if your band was out there, was your band signed and you had this music video, was it getting featured on whatnot? But now it's kind of also like, did you have your music out there? Are you on Bandcamp or are you on SoundCloud or do you have like a
Hmm.
YouTube or TikTok or that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And we and it also used to be kind of targeted about like a series like a like the one venue in your area that would continually put on shows maybe weekly or whatsoever that would actually bring in like the people from your community,
Yeah.
and now you're kind of seeing a slight revival, but also like what we did miss whenever COVID happened, and the changes in the past couple of years, and like what that was like whenever it did kind of get cut off.
Yeah. I
And
mean, I think Second Sky. Do you listen to Porter Robinson?
yeah,
You
I'm a
familiar with
fan.
him?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think it was 2020 or 2021. I forget what year, but he threw an online show called Second Sky,
yeah.
and and I remember like this was during lockdown. It was probably 2020. This was during lockdown. I just remember me and my partner. I mean, we put it on our TV. We were streaming it, and like all these acts were coming up, and like discovering all this new music, and we were just like having so much fun, just like in our living room. It's just like almost as if we were at an actual show, watching it live. But Second Sky, whenever Porter Robinson did that, that was definitely an eye opener for how fun an online show could be.
And like one of the ones I love to shout out is how Minecraft allowed other artists to kind of put on random
Oh my God, yes.
yeah, that was also one of those things too where even today where people are able to build a server and have people come on and like tap into their Discord channel and listen to like the music that's being involved. And it's also one of the things that where we now see I want to call them the electronic nomads or the digital nomad
Hmm.
guys, where we have these artists all around the world, but also able to kind of tap in the different markets that are digitally accessible. And also like
Yeah,
with Steam is one of those things where it's like you're able to play these party games, and these party games are available to anybody around the world, and it can also have your Discord on, so still gives you the opportunity to chat and integrate with new people, even though like you're playing a competitive game or bullshitting around with your friends or
yeah.
family.
I think I forget the name of the game. I think it's like Second Life, but I remember my friend in Cortex, Crime Wave. He did a set. I think Craig Sean was putting this show on, but it was in this game Second Life, and it was literally in like it was like a VR type game, and like literally like club setting. There were DJ sets, people performing, and just like everyone coming together and just enjoying their time there. I remember that happening. That was really really cool.
Some things that I've seen recently coming back on Grand Theft Auto, where a group of people would tag in on Grand Theft Auto and have their audio run on the screen, but the audio would be the different bands coming through, and it would basically have everybody else muted out, where you're now kind of integrated with the music that's streaming, and then the people that's like actually there playing. And also like if you're
Whoa.
if you're randomly getting online and you're coming in and you're like, okay, I'm hearing these little kids talk, but also I'm getting like this full like live stream of like this like intricate different kind of music, to find out like it's a group of people over on this other side of the map doing their own little freak fest.
That's awesome, man. I love technology.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where I'm like, man, like how many hours I have to spend on to find out that there's DIY shows everywhere. Like Club Penguin.
Oh yeah.
Club Penguin is one of those ones that's like slightly hosting, random artists. Like I know Soccer Mommy got on and did like a little minor thing where they like featured a track and had like people come in and chat and stuff. And I'm like, you would just have to like really just be doing your natural thing, and then find out like you got a little golden egg maybe.
That's so sick.
And
God, we
and
really are in the future.
on this note, I want to bring up some of the favorite yeah, so like the favorite movies that like are your all time like go to favorites, like from
Mm,
yeah.
okay. So like movie. Yeah, I guess I never really did say a movie, huh? I will say my all-time favorite movie that I could watch a million times over is going to be Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
man, that's
Yeah,
deep.
I really like the style of the movie. How they almost kept the comic book style from the original source material. I love the music.
Music's great.
Everything about it is just very well put together. It has a very like sense of itself, and it's just very like it's very Scott Pilgrim, and I really appreciate that movie. I remember, I think that was the first like DVD I bought of something because I watched it at my friend's house and I was like, I gotta buy it, and then I watched it like 7 times.
All right, girl. This is a big essential question. We talking Michael Sarah or we talking Culkin?
uh, like which movie it was?
No, I'm saying like, oh, all right. Who would you choose, Michael Sarah or are you talking Carrie and Culkin?
Honestly, I think Michael Cera is very sweet and endearing, and I think I would pick him because I feel like I would just make him blush, and
One of
he
the
would be really shy.
one of the long running jokes I have with my friends right now is that Michael Sarah could be the next Batman.
I think you're right in that. I think we need a socially awkward, anxious Batman who's very unsure of what to do. The
But
world
then,
needs that.
but then is so sure when he's kicking ass.
Kicks ass when he needs to. But I think that version of Batman would need a gun. Like he needs to kill someone.
I mean, all right. I wonder. Like, are you a fan of the DC universe? Did you watch like the Joker and Suicide Squad and all that shit?
So oddly enough, I'm not too big on superhero stuff. Uh, uh, just well, I was big into like Spider-Man, like back in the day whenever I was like a kid. So
This
I
new
guess
Spider-Man
I'll
will be
say I
all
love
right.
Spider-Man, but as far as like current modern superhero movies, I've kind of been turned off to them, unfortunately.
I'm on the same boat. Like I'm definitely not in the whole Marvel and DC universe loop, but I did watch the Joker and the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, and this new one that they're teasing on. I'm like, are we actually like expecting them to break down in a full musical? Are we expecting like a real type of musical where like we should have expectations? Are we talking like a okay, like we have like these random scenes where it's just trippy and like the person's singing and like yeah, yeah, it's one of those ones where you're like, what the fuck? Like, okay,
I mean, I this is my first time hearing about it. And I'm just over here like, what the fuck? Like, how do we get to this point?
how did we get to the point of the last movie kind of not being a musical to the next one being like this one's a musical? Have you watched Repo Man? Have you watched Rent? This one's a musical.
Uh, sure, I'm sure that's for somebody. Somebody will love that.
Lady Gaga better be scoring top dog.
No, we need like 100 gex and like harmful logic to do the score.
To maybe produce Lady Gaga.
Get David Shoddy to do the whole score. That'd be great.
They were she. I feel like she's gonna be like on set and then be like, "Hold up, I got Bradley Cooper coming to do like this country song with me for this scene." Uh,
For this Joker scene of Batman and Joker sharing an intimate kiss. Finally.
and yeah, as a Harley Quinn, I do feel like she would be pretty hot and sexy as a Harley Quinn, maybe for Halloween, but for this movie, it's just I don't know. It's one of those ones where I'm like my expectations are kind of high now because of whenever I watched the first Joker, it was low.
Uh, and now you just created this dream film in your head, and the second it comes out, you're gonna be disappointed.
I only mention Bradley Cooper because the guy Todd Phillips is did the Hangover movie and was just like obscenely like if you watch the Hangover movies, he had
Hmm.
so many Bradley Cooper shots. So I'm like the guy was definitely in love with Bradley Cooper, unless America was just meant to be told we need to love him.
Hey, people, somebody needs to do that for me.
Yeah, just like we're gonna do this movie that actually has a story, but actually almost all the shots, all the great lines are going to be given to you because you're beautiful.
See, you get it. You get it.
And I want to bring up too. Did you happen to have any kind of projects or anything lined up for this year? You have like any new music you're working on, recording?
Mm. I do. Right now, I'm currently working on an album that's called Down the VTuber Rabbit Hole. I'm really into VTubers. Uh, I like watching VTubers. Um, I think that makes me a loser, but I don't know. I think they're cute. I think they're funny, and I enjoy watching them. But the album is going to be more of a storytelling album of about a person, getting into VTubing or VTubers, I should say, and kind of falling into like that parasocial sort of relationship with their favorite VTuber. And then just kind of showing, then it just kind of goes into like the dark side of like how obsessive and like chaotic and like how scary sometimes these parasocial relationships on something that is like very like anime flavored, like cute anime girls, and it's just like there's just this underbelly side of everything. It's just like really like really deranged people that believe that they are in a relationship with these people that have never met them and don't know they exist. So I'm working on that, and
You
other than that,
ultimate
I've
catfish.
also been making like background music for some VTubers. Noel Digital being one of them. Yogurt being another one. I've been doing a lot for that as well. But the album's the only main thing, and I've just got some random singles lying around, but the album's the main one I'm aiming for this year.
And I want to bring up anime. So, are you a
Mm.
anime goer? You watch it? Do you? Are you a fan? Are you a reader?
So everything anime. I mean, I have gone to the theater to I went and watched Promare. I watched that in theaters. I do have a pretty large manga collection. I'm a big reader, and I am a big watcher as well. I
one
love
one of
everything
the
about anime.
one of my biggest ones that like all right, so like one of the ones I grew up on, like I had the
Mm,
Dreamcast, and like I had like the video game for, but also so many people that listen and read and watch anime just don't know about it.
mm,
It's called
mm.
Record of Lotus War. Have you ever heard?
I have not, but I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna check it out.
All right. So record of Lodoss, and it's like war. So
Hmm.
it's one of those ones where I was going to like a Goodwill or a Save a Lot or something, and they had like random VHSs of anime that
Mm.
were discounted and cheap, and I was always a big watcher of anime, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna just grab a bunch of these DVDs and these VHSs, and
Hell yeah.
the first one was a Record of Lotus War tape, and then whenever I watched it, I watched all the other ones. I was like, the other ones weren't that great. I do remember a few of them, but the Record of Lotus War, I was like, I'm gonna look up this shit. I'm gonna get it on eBay. I'm gonna like get it on Netflix. Like whatever I gotta do to like have this shit like sent to my house every week. I'm gonna watch
Yeah,
this, and
that's awesome.
it's one of those ones that introduced me to the lore of like a fantasy realm or getting into definitely like spells and like witchcraft and the idea of like knights and stuff. And what was one of your first anime loves?
My first anime love. Are we talking about anime women or just like anime shows that I love? Oh, shows. Okay. So I will say my first anime love is I would have to say it's Neon Genesis Evangelion was definitely the first like anime because I had watched like it like the end of Evangelion, which is like the final movie that you watch after you watch the series. I watched it on YouTube like long, long time ago. Um, but I think that one was my first one because once I like finally watched, whenever I got older and like finally watched through the series and watched the movies, and then watched the most recent one that came out. It took like 22 years to come out or something like that. It just everything about it just I like any show that like leaves a dent in you, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like a long lasting effect. Like you are a different person for consuming this media now. Like I love anything like that, but I think Evangelion was the first one that really made me feel like existential dread, depression, a lot of those like big feelings, and I didn't get that from much other anime until I got that. So I'll say that's my first one.
For me, after Record of Lotus War, the very second one I watched was the Blackjack series. Are you
Oh
familiar?
shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah!
Yeah, so I was really a deep, like I was deep in the trenches of like weird anime.
I'm, I was
And
about to say you are picking the deep cuts.
yeah, and like to me, it just happened to be like the trash that they would leave over at the Save a Lots and the Goodwill stores. And my sake, I just like to me, it's like I would go and find some really good anime. Like I was really seeking for that because like I'd watched, I watched like some stuff on Adult Swim and was just like, okay, this is what I'm really into. I need to go and find like some really good shit and like watch it all.
Yeah,
And yeah, and luckily my parents were really supportive about it because they bought me stuff on eBay and like bought me like whole sets of anime shows. Like I remember when I first got into Naruto, they were like, I'll go ahead and like get you the entire like Japanese series. So it's like you had to like read it and
wow,
subtitles. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to watch
that
like
is so
what.
sick.
Yeah, what I wanted to watch what was up to date, but at that time, America didn't have it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
So
Being an anime watcher back in the day, not an
yes,
easy thing to be.
it really was. I just like back in the early 2000s, whenever I was in elementary school, it was kind of like a hidden door thing. Even whenever you went to the library and you were like almost the only person looking through like what manga they really had.
Hmm. Oh yeah, you were in the trenches. Yes, you were there.
So I want to bring up a few more of your favorite animes just to kind of
Hmm.
yeah.
Let's see. Um, so I did watch it, but I started reading One Punch Man. I wanted to get up to date with it, so I got up to date with that. So this was technically a read, but I really like the art style of One Punch Man. I like the attention to anatomy. I really like that, and also like the person that does all the art for One Punch Man just really loves drawing ladies, and he loves drawing muscly men, and he makes his girls very pretty. He makes his men very handsome. So it was a instant love for that one. Um,
Big shout out for
and
sure.
then what's that?
That's a big shout out for sure. It's true.
Oh yeah, and then I guess the most recent one that I finished yesterday, my friend Noel recommended for me was Boku Girl, and I finished that one yesterday, and that one was super sweet. Um, damn, that was crazy.
I haven't checked that one out. What's that one? Is that a Crunchyroll or what's that vibe?
No, so this is going to be a manga. You'll have to go on like a
Okay.
manga reading website. Um, it's only like 107 chapters,
Well, that's
but
not bad.
it's pretty. Yeah, it sounds like not too much, but the chapters are like 19 to 20 pages long.
Okay.
But it pretty much just tells the story of like this guy, and he gets turned into a woman, and pretty much it's just like a story about love and like acceptance and like kind of the trans experience, and it's very sweet, very touching. Um, but yeah, it's fantastic. I loved reading that.
I want to bring up some of these really good animes. Tech on Kenkri, were you a fan?
You know what? I don't think I've seen that one.
I was done from the artist that worked on the Godfathers of Tokyo.
Hmm.
Are
Yeah, I
you
don't.
familiar with that one?
I don't think I am, unfortunately.
Oh, Godfathers of Tokyo is also one of the queer films. It's like these queer old men happen to kind of like they're like homeless and like build a family and they're living on the streets in Tokyo. It's really funny. It's really one of
Oh,
the
okay.
it's really one of those ones where they give you the whole like Japanese perspective too of like what it's like as a homeless man for them. It's really
Whoa.
yeah, it's really funny and like the kind of developments and the like the characteristics that they have. As like you get older, you kind of see like wow, they were like tapping into like what a homeless person is, and also at the same time like what you love about them, as far as like their raw as fuck mentality, charisma, and I don't know some of the bottom lines about like essentialism and stuff like that.
That's sick. I'm gonna have to check that one out for sure.
The Tech on Kenkri, I might have to DM you the deets on this one. It's one of the movies that have stuck with me today that to
Mm.
me has blown so many animes out of the water. Like Paprika, are you a fan?
I'm not familiar with that one either. You may be further down than I am.
I'm really I want to say like I spent dedicated maybe 10 years of my life to anime.
Damn, I can't even call myself an anime fan in the presence of you.
Not even, because like I would say just like some people have their preferences, and whenever you want to bring up anime to some people, they're like, I don't even know like one show or like haven't watched like one series all the way through or something, and to me it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. I can find myself easier. Like I can easily trust choosing an anime show than I can choose like watching like a generic new Netflix show that has like new fresh like faces or some shit. I don't know.
Uh, I mean, anime though is kind of like what do they say? It's kind of like pizza. Like even when it's bad, it's still okay.
Maybe, but you might be right there.
Yeah.
Like that might be the
I mean,
case.
I think that's why there's a website I use. I won't say the name because I don't think it's a legal site, but they have a random button. It'll just pull up a random anime and you just watch it. And I feel like that's something you would love.
Yeah, take the dive, take the trip, and see if it's one of those
Just
ones
go
that you're
for it.
like, yeah, like okay. Because to me, it's like you never know what you like until you try it, and that's one of those one things too. I really hate about discrimination on so many communities, so many different people. It's like you don't know until you try it, and why you knock it,
Yeah,
and like you don't knock it until you try it. So you better try it at least
that's
once.
that's what I'm saying. Like you talk all this shit, but did you put the dress on? Did you put the skirt on and make it go spin?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
it takes some real effort to get a straight guy off. I'll tell you that.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you. If half the toxic masculinity dudes would put on a skirt and go out in public dressed like a pretty girl, I promise that their life would change indefinitely.
That's like one of those. That's one of the things about like with music. It's like it's so vulnerable. It's so true, and you also find your way of relating to it, no matter who the fuck you are.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
and it's like one of the bigger things in our generation because internet is so powerful of you finding out like your community and finding out like what you like about music.
Oh yeah. I mean, everything's just so accessible, and like, if something doesn't exist, people make it, and like, I think that's what's so fun about like any music community. Like, we have so many creative minds, and just like if they had an idea for something, like they have the accessibility. It's not like a fever dream anymore. It's just like, if you want to like make the hardest, like you're screaming over a rap beat or whatever it might be, or fusion jazz with drum and bass, or whatever, country and jazz, like country jazz drum and bass, like whatever. It doesn't matter. Like if you are passionate about it and want to do it, you will be able to do it. And I love that.
And I also want to say, like, the to me, it's like whenever you're taking on a new artist or you're playing at a new venue to new people, like even as the artist and all that kind of goes, you're still putting yourself out there to bring out like the kind of vibe and the kind of sound that like resonates with you, that like
Hmm.
fits and sounds good too. And that's kind of one of those things I really do appreciate for artists that are like still willing to kind of pursue playing live and putting themselves out there, and also like getting out new stuff, new
Yeah,
music. And it's like, because a lot of people will make music, and then that one product, that one good album that they spent time on is the only representation that they'll have for their entire maybe eternity of that band.
yeah. I mean, very true. But I mean, I think too with it. I think like you know a lot of like doing this music stuff, like you said, I mean, you are being vulnerable in putting a lot of the stuff out. You, despite how silly or how funny you might make whatever it is, that you are still like sharing a piece of yourself with the world, and that takes so much courage. But to let one thing define who you are, what you make. I mean, I think that part of it is just kind of silly, because like people grow up, people change, and you're not gonna make the same thing every day. You're not gonna make the same album 20 times, or maybe you will, and who knows? If you like it, stick with it. But
Drake
I,
Drake
I
is
think
Drake is like a 40-year-old sexy daddy and still makes the same music as if he's 16 years old, rapping about strippers on a pole and needing some bad girl come over, and I gotta flex this, I gotta flex that. I mean, we got artists like that for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it like this with Drake. So Drake, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Drake, but even still, so he's like 40 or 30, 40 something. So in his early work, very braggadocious, the typical rap, money, cars, clothes, stuff like that. But it's coming from like the heart of just like, I'm going to manifest it. And even Drake now is a person that like took that and then like made it a reality, and now he lives in that. And I almost look at like his later work as just like, he's older now, he's smarter now, he's wiser now, he's experienced more life. And if I think it's coming from more of a, he's experienced it now, and it's not just some fever dream, some faraway thing that he's never going to achieve. It's something that he achieved, and he did it, and he's lived it, he's experienced it, and now he's just reminiscing on all of it, and just maybe sitting there in disbelief of like, wow, like I really did this, or I really did that. You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at it, though. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And when I
He's
want to
still
what
he's
I
still
want to
burying
say though,
something.
what I want to bring up too, like with like Drake, we have like The Weeknd, who's really like and like Steve Lacy, who are kind of like now like being pop familiarized from like after
Hmm.
the whole Childish Gambino and Tyler the Creator explosion, as far as like their stuff
Yeah.
like being on the radio. But if you want to kind of tie back, they kind of use what like Michael Jackson kind of played as far as like having this kind of way of putting out the record, following up with this music video, and having this kind of choreography and this kind of way of presenting yourself whenever you're gonna like do these stage tours and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's formulaic, there's a way of doing it, but I think in this day and age that can work and it will work and it'll continue to work. But, I think in this day and age, I think people are going to, they're going to cut their own path and they're going to find their own ways to success, whatever that might mean to them. And, I think it's just exciting to see.
For like I think the transition that we are on with the music industry is finding out that it's more truthfully too, to some extent, of also its own talent, show upbringing, as far as like what kind of different sounds and what kind of different stuff are you doing, like like where you're from, what kind of stuff are you bringing together or collaborating with, and that kind of stuff. Even and big thing too, how we mentioned with Billy, it's like even if it's from your bedroom or from your bathroom, or if it's like from a bigger studio, it's more too
Yeah,
about like what it sounds like, how it got to the people, if that was provocating, if that was shocking, or if that was like really cool and chill, or you thought that person is just like, there's always trying to find I guess ways that you can connect and vibe with a different kind of people maybe than you maybe used to.
yeah, yeah.
Are you a fan of Beyonce? Have you listened to like her recent record, Renaissance?
I did listen to Renaissance. Yeah, it was really well made.
I'm a fan of
I mean,
Renaissance.
Beyonce. I mean, I don't see her doing any wrong. I don't think it's possible for Beyonce to put out a bad album if we're you know being real.
It's like, well, it's like we can't put out a bad album because you have this talent and this voice, and you're incorporating it now with like the different incorporations of technology and the music, and how to kind of bring in or recreate and rejuvenate like what was popular in like the 80s, 90s, like club scenes, and making like kind of like what we enjoy about like fashion music to like maybe more empowering. Because if you listen to this record, it's really about identity politics. It's about different ways of empowerment of different sorts, and different kinds of like
Yeah,
affirmations and like assurance and and definitely like speeches of confidence in a way.
yeah,
And a very like, and to me it's like, of course, like in its own like sexy dance way, but it's also like in a rejuvenated, this is kind of a better way of like finding out people that are going to be able to kind of like come together and have like a good time and still like enjoy the music, even of like who you are.
yeah. Well, I think Beyonce knows her audience and knows who's listening to it, and I think anytime Beyonce puts out an album, in some way, shape, or form, I feel like every single one is like a thank you letter to like everyone that came before her, everyone that's with her now, everyone that's still with her. You know what I mean? Like I think she's well aware of it, and just making songs about identity and all that is definitely like a good thing, especially coming from such like a mainstream artist. Like definitely, marginalized groups of people, feeling seen is always a good thing.
And big a big thing with like with black artists, they never like, even though like the media taking it on of like they made all this success as black artists, and they still took that as like, okay, like I made the success maybe as a black artist, but it was because of the music itself. Like for Marvin Gaye, for a big example, was like I know, like he made it as a sex icon for his generation, even as a black
Yeah,
artist, and they really scrutinized somewhat for that. Even though they were like, I sold this music to all these people because, like, if you listen to the music, this is like, what like the vibe and messages were, and it was about peace and love. He always talked about kind of this equality thing, and not like looking at people from their differences and bringing people together. And that's, I mean, in a lot of ways, like you see that from our multi-generational artists of trying to find artists that come together. One of my
yeah.
biggest favorite artists right now is Dorian Electra. Are you a fan?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I'll be honest. I don't really listen to too much Dorian Electra. It's not really my cup of tea.
I'm a I'm
But
a I'm a fan out
I
of
have, you know,
I'm a fan out of the respect of the music is fast paced, and it incorporates different kinds of like rhythms and music and
yeah.
artists, and but also
I,
like the accessibility. It doesn't have to kind of be targeted or categorized for one kind of genre. It can be for anybody's genre.
I do appreciate how willing they are to be, to be silly, to put out a silly song, or put out like an absolute fucking banger, and you just with Dorian Electra, like you just don't know what you're going to get. And I will say that from what I have listened to, I will say like there are some deep bangers in there, and there's silly songs. I remember, was it the Pharrell cover featuring
I'm
six
a
four five AR?
Yeah, it's a really
Like that
really well
was
produced. Yeah,
little too silly, a little too
and
silly.
I like to me I like if you look on their Bandcamp, like they kind of use like an alternative route of what Americans even use their Bandcamp platform for.
Mm,
And it's one of those things to me, is like it sticks out of like lighting the torch for other artists that even maybe not like traditional, to still kind of stick to their guns, and even if that
yeah.
like even if that works for them or not. And
I
yeah.
think for Dorian, I think like especially like their message on like just being who you are unapologetically, and I think that message is fantastic for anybody. Like,
Lil Nas is a really good example for that too.
mhm. Yeah,
Anybody is still willing to still bob to Lil Nas, even no matter like how you're trying to put him in a box, or and whatever the case, there's like
right.
you still like admire and appreciate the sounds, the music, the videos, and it doesn't matter
Yeah,
about like who or anything.
I
So
mean
it's one of the bigger
it's
bigger
wrong to deny
aspects.
the artistry that goes into all of it. I mean, it's so well thought out. Like everything, like to the most minute detail, has been thought about, and you can't just ignore that.
And on our last notes, I appreciate you taking this time. What songs
Yeah,
off
of
the top
course.
of your head would you like to feature right after this for our interview?
Right after this, uh, I want you to play. I want you to play. Let's do. Uh, oh man, you really put me on the spot. Okay. Well, first I want you to hit an air horn right here. Okay, there we go. Perfect. And then I'm I've been all right. I have it on a DJ set that's coming up in March, but I'll have it played again. I want you to play Perfume's Daijobu Banai. Okay. Oh no, that's the name of the song, Daijobu Banai. Oh, 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 oh! I can pick more than one. Oh hell, okay. Uh, I thought you were. I thought, man, never mind. I'm sorry. Let's do. Let's do Mastodon Matador by Bobbing. Let's do. Uh, let's do True Hero by Kobario. Let's do. Um, Sorry, I'm just going through my Spotify right now. Let's do Dubplate Fever by DJ Hype. Uh, any more? Do you want more? Two more. Okay. All right, I got two more. I gotta make these count. Oh Jesus. Um, let's do. Oh man, God, the weight of the world. Oh man. Let's do. Hmm, damn, gotta make it count. Let's do Calamity Rhapsody by Akia. And uh, oh my God. Oh, last one, last one. Oh man. Oh, I gotta make it count. Gotta make it count. Uh, I'm gonna go with. Um, oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. Oh, I gotta make it count. Oh, come on. All right. We're gonna go with Suritada by Kana Aku. Yeah, there we go. Google Meet? Like, oh, sorry, my brain went in EAT. I've heard of it. Why? What's up?
Hey, is that some Gen Z shit? Am I old or something? What's going on
Google,
here?
Google, show me meat.
Yeah, show
Yes,
me the
thank you.
meat. Go.
Show me the meat.
uh, all right, I really appreciate you taking the time to join Vibe Osmosis, and I really do enjoy your music, and I was
Thank you.
holding on these
Well,
questions for a second too.
what's that?
I was holding on to these questions for you for a second too.
Oh, okay. So you had these like premeditated?
I take a few notes whenever I kind of go through the artists that I'm like, are they good for Vibo?
Mm. I thought I was gonna come on here and you were gonna be like, uh, why are you gay? Uh, who said I'm gay? You are gay.
I think I've heard that myself. I was been like, do you need me to pour wine on myself? What?
No, I was listening. I was listening to your. I was listening to your other interviews,
Yeah.
and I even called Jack and just like, what do I do? I need to know anything before I get into this?
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a few people had to make a few phone calls for every interview that I've ever done. Was like, what am I getting myself into?
Well, I mean, once I heard what you did, I wasn't too worried. You know, I was just like, oh, you know, you had a